You ever just like be watching something that's so astonishing, so shocking to the eyes, so horrifying that you just like you can't look away. It almost forces you to laugh at it because it's just so shocking. That was me watching the Broncos lose 70-20 this last Sunday. That was ugly. That was the ugliest defensive performance, well, of all time by a yardage metric. Yeah, not a good day to be a Broncos fan this past Sunday. What's going on, guys? I'm Frankie here, Frankie's Film of the Let's Talk Broncos Network, and let's just dive into it. The Broncos lost 70-20. I'm here to highlight the Gold Star players that played well on both sides of the ball. Well, I'm here to spoil it for you. There's only one this week, and he's on the offensive side of the ball. Well, there were a few guys on the offensive side of the ball, but I went with Mike McGlinchey, right tackle who signed a big contract this offseason. He had a good game. Offensive line had a good game. Offense in general was moving the ball pretty well. The box score won't necessarily show that. There were a couple untimely turnovers. Obviously, never really timely turnovers, but a couple untimely turnovers, bad penalties down by the red zone, and just, things that kind of kept them, I think, from having what would have been a really good day, I think, for the offense. But the defense, man, what is there to even say? Nobody's getting a gold star this week because honestly, they're all, I'm sure, thoroughly embarrassed of the stuff that they put on tape this past weekend. So we're gonna get into the good news first, breaking down the offense and some of what Mike McGlinchey did, and then afterwards I'm just gonna go on a little like 3 to 5 minute spiel about what I saw Mike McDaniel do, what this defense struggled with, and how I think that they can maybe try to fix it going forward, but honestly, if it even is. So let's get into it. First play for McGlinchey in the offense. We got a 3rd and 5 with the Broncos already down 7. They're running a bunch formation out of 11 personnel, and Sean Payton dials up drive, which is basically going to have Troutman running a drag route with Judy running the dig behind it. But on the outside, we've got just some 9 routes. Russ identifies a single high safety and ends up giving Cortland Sutton a chance on the outside. Was it a catch? Sean Payton, the coaching staff, didn't think so. Didn't see a challenge flag, but we want to highlight McGlinchey here in the pocket that's provided from honestly both tackles. Bowles does a great job against Chubb as well, but he does a really good job against Jalen Phillips. Shows some great athleticism getting out of his stance and just anchors down pretty well. And then Samaje Perine does a good job picking up the, I don't want to say lack of effort, but the missed block here from Quinn Miners, and we get a clean pocket for Russ to throw out of. Next play on the next drive, Broncos 1st and 10, already down 14-0. We got a tight formation. They're running some more 11 personnel, and we've got a play action mirrored like 18-yard curl routes. Judy has always been phenomenal on these routes that come back to the football. This is no exception here. Does a good job breaking off the corner and gets a lot of separation for himself. Russ delivers a C, but more great protection here. Again, you just see really good anchoring here from Mike McGlinchey against Jalen Phillips. I really like the protection they do here with Chris Manhertz and Cortland Sutton kind of combining to block Bradley Chubb before Cortland goes off into the flat, but all around just a really good design and a good pickup for Denver. Later on that same drive, Denver's still down 14-0. We got another 1st and 10. Denver's running out of some more 11 personnel, and this time they're just running some inside zone. Not going to get a great gain here. It only goes for 3, but just look at the finish that we get Mike McGlinchey get on Christian Wilkins. That's a damn good interior run defender. And we get Mike McGlinchey pushing him a good 4 or 5 yards off the ball. You just love to see it, and Denver needs more of that from their offensive front this year. Next, we got a 2nd and 6 on the same drive right near the end zone here. Running some 13 personnel, so that's 3 tight ends in the field, and they're running this drive concept again. So we're going to have Troutman running the drag route with Manhertz running the dig behind it. Manhertz, probably not the best guy you can have running this dig, but this tight end room is getting shallower and shallower, so that's who we got on this play. Sadly, it falls incomplete, but look at the job Russ does of helping out the offensive line here. Mike McGlinchey does a pretty good job. Jalen Phillips does kind of somewhat beat him to the corner, but this is what you need your quarterback to do. Step up in the pocket, avoid the pressure a little bit by himself, and just do a little bit of a favor for your guy right here. Very next play on a 3rd and 6, Denver running some 0-1 personnel, but we're going to have Jerry Jeudy in the backfield. They're going to just have some great pocket movement again out of Russell Wilson. We see Mike McGlinchey working Jalen Phillips up the field. You see Russ step up in the pocket, maneuver his way around, break outside to his right, and find a Cortland Sutton who has been excellent on the scramble drill this year. You see him again working his way around the corner and finding that back line, toe tapping along it, and just scoring another TD from Russell Wilson on the season. Next play, next Broncos possession, down 21-7 now. It's 2nd and 10. Broncos are running out of more 11 personnel, and they're going to run duo this time. McGlinchey just absolutely obliterates the right side of the line of scrimmage. Just not the motion for Marvin Mims kind of sets up some running angles for him, kind of sets up just an easier alignment for him in general. But look at the hole that Javonte Williams has to run through. Scampers through it for a gain of 16 yards. First down, Broncos. Nearing the end of the first half now with only 50 seconds remaining. Broncos facing a 1st and 10 down 35-10. Coming out in some 11 personnel, and they're just going to run some shallow cross. We've got Cortland Sutton running the drag underneath. Does a nice job getting out of bounds, saves some clock, but look at what Mike McGlinchey does here to Jalen Phillips. Just introduces him to the earth, runs him right around the corner, opens up a nice little lane for Russ to run through. Easy delivery and a first down. Very next play for Denver, it's 1st and 10, and honestly, this is just Russ throwing it out and up in double coverage to Marvin Mims, but look at the job that Mike McGlinchey does against Jalen Phillips here. Again, remember, this is the very next play. He's maybe been oversetting a little bit to those outside moves, and Jalen Phillips tries to attack him on the inside, and just look at the recovery. Does a great job getting him on the inside shoulder, getting a hold of him, and just walking him straight across the screen, and getting him right out of the way of Russell Wilson. We're looking at 3 plays in a row here because we've got the very next play, 2nd and 10. Denver just running some basic mesh. We've got Marvin Mims and Jerry Jeudy kind of coming together on the rub routes, and we got Marvin Mims coming wide open. But look at Jalen Phillips trying to do whatever he can to Mike McGlinchey at this point. He pulls out the spin move, albeit not the prettiest of spin moves in my life, but just shut down by Mike. Just shut down, baby. That's what we want to see out of our high-paid right tackle. Final play for the offense. One more really good Mike McGlinchey rep, this time against Emmanuel Ogbah. Denver's running more shallow cross with Cortland Sutton getting wide open, but he fumbles the ball. He fumbles the ball for the 2nd time today. It's an absolute backbreaker. Hurts my soul to rewatch it, so I'm sorry I'm putting you all through this again, but yeah, look at Mike McGlinchey block people. Woo! All right, let's do this. Let's talk about the defensive performance and what I saw in that one. I've got like 3 main notes. The first note, and I think that this needs to be highlighted. I feel like there's almost like some like, oh, it was just the Dolphins. Guys, this Dolphins offense, headlined by Mike McDaniel, Tua, and Tyreek, is historically good. At least it's on that pace. When Tua is healthy, it's kind of an unstoppable juggernaut. Mike McDaniel, I mean, you saw it. He's bringing all the run schemes. If you don't know, he was the run game coordinator in San Francisco for many years. The runs he was bringing in that game were disgusting. The way he uses motion, the way he's using like receivers on these crack tosses, the way he's running his play action game, his screen setups, it's amazing. It's one of the most entertaining offenses I have ever watched. At the end of the year, there's a good chance we're looking at that Dolphins game and we are saying that is the toughest game Denver played this year. So we need to give them their props. I know the defense did not play well enough. The personnel did not play well enough. They weren't coached well enough. Whatever. First and foremost, we just got to acknowledge that other team is damn good and played so damn well. Like, again, if... just go on Twitter and look up some of the things they were doing out of these tosses and just all this different stuff. It was disgusting. It was a masterful performance by Mike McDaniel. Now, number 2, the personnel, man. Denver was shorthanded on an already poor defensive roster. This defense has not lived up to the expectations, yes. But I think when you actually kind of factor in the guys that were on the field on Sunday, like, is it that surprising that this team was able to kind of eat them alive? Like, DTY is starting at safety. We've got Asang Bassi playing nickel, and we've got Damari playing on the outside. Drew Sanders had to get his first, true snaps after Josie Jewell got hurt, We're having guys like Jonathan Harris and Matt Henningsen have to play, crucial snaps for this defensive line. And this is not me trying to bash those guys, Those are talented football players, far more talented than I could ever dream of being at that sport in my entire life. But what I'm saying is, those guys were drafted, and their current role, and I think what we should expect out of them is to be hopefully decent role players. Most of those guys are 6th, 7th round picks, day 3 players. You've got Kareem Jackson, who's 35 years old, trying to play this defense. It's tough. I don't think it was really a recipe that was ever going to result in anything good for Denver. And then you factor in that these young, inexperienced players, such as DTY, such as Drew Sanders, we're going against a master schemer in Mike McDaniel. Again, you can watch it on the tape. It's all over there. They were so discombobulated. The motions had these guys all over the place. You saw Drew Sanders 4 or 5 times just chasing the wrong guy down. Like, they were completely confused playing in a stadium on a 100-degree weather day where they were just outmatched. Again, this Dolphins defense has probably 4 or 5 guys that run 4.3s, 4.4s. They are one of the most explosive and athletic offenses in the league. And Denver's defense, as it's currently constructed, is one of the least athletic units in the league, especially in the secondary, and especially that unit they were rolling out there on Sunday. PS2, best corner in the NFL. Everything else they have is probably a bench player at this point. Probably a guy that you hope can kind of be okay when he's come in, but if that's the guy you're having to start for 10 plus games, as it's looking like Denver might have to do for some of these guys, you're going to have one of the worst defenses in the NFL. And that's the case right now. Now, I haven't mentioned Vance Joseph's name yet. He's obviously the third name on this chart, but again, when I look at the talent he has on the field, could he be doing more? Sure. Could defensive players be buying in more to his scheme? 100%. But what is he supposed to do? He does not have the talent on the back end to run a lot of man and try to get a lot of these one-on-ones up front so he can generate pressures. And he doesn't have the talent up front to only be able to send 4, or they're just going to be able to sit in the pocket all game long. There truly isn't a right answer right now for this defense. And, that's just kind of the way it is, I think, until some of these guys like Baron Browning, Justin Simmons, PJ Locke come off IR and they're able to help out a little bit more. But again, I think the biggest note, this was arguably the most difficult offense they'll have to face this year. I know people are probably like, well, they faced the Chiefs twice. Denver at least knows the Chiefs. This Dolphins team caught them completely blindsided. This is going to be arguably the toughest game they played this year. And I think next week, if we see the defense actually have a pretty good showing against the Chicago Bears, who have been an absolute dumpster fire themselves, I don't think anyone should be too shocked. So those are my thoughts on the defense. Just had to kind of get that spiel out. Thanks for listening. Well, that's it for week 3. Let's make a deal. Let's never talk about this again. Let's just pretend that game never happened. We'll move on. We'll move on to next week. Hopefully next week against the Bears, I get some more fun film to show you guys. It's not as devastating and heart crushing for me to kind of, force myself to just watch that with my eyeballs. But thank you guys for tuning in. Make sure you're stopping over here at Let's Talk Broncos, liking and subscribing, listen to all the podcasts. But until next time, thank you guys for watching.